In August of 2022, the blockchain mining company PrimeBlock pulled out of a literal billion-dollar SPAC deal. In the process, the Goldman Sachs investor CEO behind this deal took, well, what I suspect is a golden parachute so that he could pursue other opportunities. In today's fresh video, let's open the lid a bit into PrimeBlock and see what we learn, because there's something hidden here that's kind of intriguing. For example, consider the seemingly unrelated list of corporate filings for companies matching the PrimeBlock name. So what I'll say is this. What I will tell you now that all of this fits together in a very interesting way. PrimeBlock has these mining operations, as their press release tells us, in North Carolina, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and so on. So now let's look at these corporate filings. Note the way the business is structured here with a separation of legal filing for the mining operation from the operational aspect of their business. Now, this isn't all speculation, because if we pulled back the hood just a little bit, what we see is an example of this filing and for the Pennsylvania mining branch. We see here the notation that this LLC, indeed all of them, are branch filings of the parent mining corporation, quote, PrimeBlock Mining LLC, end quote, based out of Delaware, and that's company number 6512028. So let's shift over to the Delaware filing, because there's something curious lurking underneath all the legal paperwork here. After all, one doesn't just form a slew of limited liability corporations in a spiderweb and not leave a few breadcrumbs on the table that take us, let's just say they take us somewhere interesting. I just mentioned a number, 6512028. And the reason I mention this is because if you navigate over to the Secretary of State office for the state of Delaware, you know, the state that US President Biden calls home, what we can do there is retrieve a few key details. And here's where this starts getting kind of fun. When you retrieve the Secretary of State filing, what you find is just the registered agent phone number for the business filing. This isn't a big surprise. After all, companies need registered agent services all the time. However, the choice of PrimeBlock to use an organization known as CSC is quite interesting. And here's why I say that. I pulled up on the screen CSC's top 3 registration sites offered by their business filings. They are the Americas, with the listed Delaware address, of course, Canada, London, France, Singapore, and Australia. I guess that's more than 3. This caught my attention because, remember, PrimeBlock also has a presence in Canada. Intriguingly, Singapore has appeared in many prior videos on the channel, so let me note that CF Principal Investments LLC, which has offices in Singapore, is also a key investor in, drumroll, PrimeBlock. Now, what's really curious about CF Principal Investments is that they're one of those curious LLCs that have no internet presence, but do lob around some rather large dollar amounts. 300 million, that's quite a bit. Technically, their parent company is Cantor Fitzgerald, hence the letter CF. That stand for Cantor Fitzgerald. However, if you go and dig a little bit more, you can find the New York-based filing address, or I should say a series of addresses. On the screen now is a list from a public SEC filing of various addresses in New York. And on this screen is a new number, 001930267. Curious. So if you dig even further, what we're going to find is that this number can take us to a new place. It takes us to the various funding arms of Cantor Fitzgerald. And what's interesting here is things get kind of weird and totally unexpected. In fact, when I saw this relationship, I just kind of slid back in a chair and thought, I probably need to really untangle this a bit more. You see, if you go searching for Cantor Fitzgerald influences on the AMP token, you're just not going to find a whole lot, except in this one SEC filing links together both Cantor Fitzgerald and the Flexa network. So this is all quite interesting to read. A blank check company formed in 2020, according to this SEC filing, and it goes by another name, and that's a SPAC. That is, the blank check company is also known as SPAC. It's just part of the process. The link to the filing will be in the description below. This perhaps isn't all terribly surprising. After all, Cantor Fitzgerald is listed here with a lot of other SPAC deals. However, the unexpected idea to consider here is that there's a very weak argument that Flexa Network might have taken up a SPAC deal and pushed internationally in the same way PrimeBlock was intending to go. Clearly, a lot has changed since 2021. After all, the markets are literally melting down this week. However, having Flexa Network legal counsel appear in the same group of people known for forming SPAC deals with a clear global pathway for filing business filings everywhere, well, it's so crazy it almost makes sense. A lot like this channel. Perhaps in the next bull run, we'll see exactly that. Until then, make waves, my friends.